Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Yeah. So what are you looking at?
So I want to look at the over, right? So what is Alabama's going to do? When we looked at that last game, it was between Georgia and Alabama, which I was with Alabama on that as well. I want to see what the over looks like. Now the problem I have is their star receiver Michi's out, right, for the year. So what is I don't know what that does to the offense, but I don't trust Georgia in the whole offense fiasco. Who's quarterback? Who's not the quarterback? And to be completely honest with you, I their defense doesn't match up well with Bama. So I'm looking at first half over. Let me pull it up what I've got. And I again, there's no way Nick Saban loses again, or there's no way Nick Saban's going to lose to Georgia. But the game's at 3. I'm taking Bama as a dog. The over for the first half is 11 and a half. Two
Yeah, I
touchdowns.
mean, you would think that's a no-brainer, but there's some stats. I've got some stats. I'll throw a stat at you. Which of the two teams in Monday night's national championship game has lost against the spread for the last 7 straight first quarters?
Well, I'm going to say Alabama
It's Alabama.
because we were on Cincy in the first quarter and we cashed.
That's right. And they didn't score a touchdown against Cincy or Georgia the first time, or Auburn or Arkansas. They have not scored a touchdown since they played LSU back in November in the first quarter. Now, in terms of that first quarter, Georgia, how many times in the last 14 games have they given up a point in the first quarter? Take a guess. We asked 14 games how many points were scored in the first quarter. How many of those games said they had
It's
points?
0. 0-0.
They don't give up points, guys. 4 games, total of 22 points in all those games, 10 shutouts. They shut out Michigan before that, Alabama before that, Georgia Tech. Tennessee scored 10 points on them. I don't know how that happened in hindsight. The final score is 41-17, so obviously they rectified that ship. 3-0-0, 3-0-0, 6. South Carolina scored 6 against them. I don't know if it was 2 field goals, but they were down 14-6. So, yeah, the bottom line is those are plays that, you got national championship. Well, what is the thing when you have championship fights, right? They sit there and they punch each other for a couple rounds, round or two. I definitely could see this first quarter, being a 0-0, 3-0, 7-0 kind of game. I don't know what – do you have yet Wes, could you see if the first quarter line is out for the total?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at all of them right now
Is it
because
9.5 or
once
10.5?
it's so the first quarter is 10.5,
Yeah.
and the first half is 26.5.
But see, the second half, the first half is different than the first quarter because they do all that sparring, they do that kind of playing in the middle of the field, and then boom, 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 it's 14-7, and with 13 minutes to go in the first half.
They do, and I think everything you're saying is valid about the first quarter. But this is a team that just played each other one game ago. They'll be about 5 weeks detached from the last time they played each
Look
other.
what happened last time they played. It was 0-3 after 1 and 24-17 after 2 periods, 2 quarters. So that's where I'm leaning right there. I'm leaning that way. But again, I don't have a lot of action on this game. So yes, it is true. The rumor is true that if you want me to root for your team, I'm rooting for whoever sells the most footballs before kickoff at 50% off. After that, then it's going to go back to full price, and you're on your own. But if you want my support of your team, if you're a Dog fan, go buy a football. If you're a Tide fan, go buy a football, and I will promise you the most footballs is who I root for. And I'll tell you right now, remember, we sold a lot of LSU when they had the greatest offense in the history of college football, and they were down early. I don't know if you guys remember. And my wife looked at me. I said, I think we're going to be fine. And then, of course, they ended up, I don't know, they put a 50, I think, on them, or 49 or some sick number,